Good morning, Miss.
How are you?
I am good. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you very much. As pretty as always, Vanda.
Arey. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
All set. We have 9 participants. Excellent. Put your cameras on, please, everybody. Good morning. Hi, Sonam. Congratulations.
Vandana, good morning,
Hi,
Morning.
Pallavi.
good. Hi, Shruti.
Hi,
Hi, good
Shruti.
morning.
Seeing you after such a long time. Hi.
Yeah, I know.
We've just come back from the camps.
Yeah.
Hi, Preeti. Good morning. Hi, Vidya. Morning. One of our Suchaks. Hi, Posh. Hi, Asha.
Good
Again.
morning.
Good
Good
morning.
morning. Hi,
Morning.
Meena.
Good. Good morning. Good morning.
Morning. How are you feeling being a Suchak? Vidya and Asha?
Great.
Hi,
Good
Shrilu.
morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Nivedita, please put your camera on. We love to see each other, no? I request all the participants to put their cameras on and we'll start the session. Thank you. Vanna, you can share the slides. So pretty she's looking now. Look at Vanna. So pretty.
You're making me conscious now.
No, I always used to say that when I used to work with her. Beauty with brains. My first IB guru. Thank you, Vanna. I must say thank you to you from the bottom of my heart for teaching me, for giving me that base and, enlightening my journey. Thank you. So, welcome everybody to Ecurious Minds, where we believe in be the change to bring the change. Yes, you are the change makers. Hence, you are all here to, again, like me, enlightening your journey of knowledge. So, with this is the first, go to the next slide, please. This is the first time we are going to be having this professional development session under our flagship, which is, anybody who can tell us what is it? Guys, unmute yourself. Come on.
The POI?
Power
POI review,
program.
how to
Knowledge.
review the POI.
So,
Knowledge is power.
so knowledge is power. When I used to read a lot of Gita, from there, this idea came, knowledge is power. I said, when I believe in it, why not, get into our community? So all the
So
professional developments from now on will be under this flagship called Knowledge is Power, and you all will become powerful and you're going to bring the change through that. Over to Vanna. Thank you so much for this volunteership to take us through a very important part of our learning, how to review what is the importance of reviewing our program and how can we do it. Thank you so much, Vanna. Over to you, please.
Thank you, Pallavi. And good morning, everyone. It's a long weekend and Saturday morning, and I so really appreciate your commitment to coming here early in the day and being here just to understand how different schools and the context of the school, looks at reviewing the
Yes, come
program
in,
of
Yuri.
inquiry. If I may request
Please
everyone
I
to
mute
didn't call
please
yourself.
you.
mute themselves. Yes.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Yes, thank you. So today we are looking at the how do we review a program of inquiry in an ongoing manner. Now, every school has their own program of inquiry, something that they have constructed, built, evolved over a period of time. I am going to share our journey because that's what is really close to us, and I can definitely respond to all your questions and queries since we have also taken ourselves, I would say, few years to understand how to take the context and the teachers, the students, the parents, the stakeholders on board while reviewing the POI. So there are a few examples and formats that I will share, which is, again, I would say it's more of reference. Each school has their own way of looking at things. So if you have questions, definitely I will respond to those. However, you may take the broader ideas from here today and see how you can implement them in your school. So when we're looking at program of inquiry, I was reading through, what does the PYP say about it? And resource center PRC, when you go there, you will see that there is an entire section on reviewing the program of inquiry. And I particularly like this quote, which is from a school that has put up their process of review. It says the notion of teacher as a researcher is critical to us, and we are there to observe, analyze, modify, and refine learning experiences for our students in an ongoing, responsive basis according to their responses to those experiences. Therefore, the POI must not remain fixed. And that is something that I resonated so much with when I was going through and curating this session, that it is essential that all of us as practitioners, we modify and refine not just the experiences for students, but our own program of inquiry. So the entire process of program of inquiry, of course, we have something, we have designed something, it is implemented in all schools. During the implementation process, there is time for constant reflection. When we are reflecting on a particular program of inquiry or how the learning is taking place, all the reflections are collated. A collated view of all the reflections help us review at some point what is emerging as a trend across school from different units. And once the review process takes place, we come up with certain conclusions, certain decisions, which leads to revision of the POI. So this is a broad process that one follows. I will take you through certain specifics going forward. So just putting it across as a question for everyone, and you may use the chat feature, please. Pallavi, you'll have to help me moderate the chat because I may not be able to see it.
Sure.
Yeah. So
Vanna,
what are some of the questions? Yes.
sorry, Vanna, the previous slide, when you said when we collate all the reflections together, that is the teacher, student, and the parent reflection on the unit?
That is like in an ongoing manner. Is initially you have the student and the teacher
Yes,
reflections.
we have that in IB
Yes.
Planner.
Yes.
Do we also
Right. And
consider the parent
so
reflection?
parent reflections when you're end of the unit, when you are
Yes.
taking reflections from the parents. So parents in between also write certain, share certain, wow moments or things that the children are not really connecting with. So collating all those reflections is something that is integral. Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
They can share
So
as well. Feel free to share, speak about what you
please,
think
yes, please
and
open
chat.
up and have questions. It's more of an interactive thing, less of what I have to, because it's again a process that I'm sharing. So, what are some of the questions you put on the table while reviewing the POI in an ongoing manner? So, during your collaborative planning meetings, are there questions that you engage with when you're reviewing the learning and the teaching process?
Go ahead, Asha.
So one of the things is what we looked at. I mean, we also like are fairly new, and in fact, this is our evaluator. We looked at is the information and the teaching process or the module what we're teaching, is it relevant to the times?
Right.
So that was one really huge discussion that we had. This was amongst the teachers when we were doing our POI review.
Correct.
Okay, so you're looking for relevance, right? Okay.
Farhana shares, is it horizontally and vertically aligned? Along with that, I would say that all the learner profile attributes, the ATL skills, the concepts, are they equally
Distributed.
weight in all the units? We look at that. And the
So you're
SDG
looking at
goals.
the vertical articulation and the balance of elements, right?
We also, if I may say so, we also look into what enrichment more can happen, what which is, really effective. Maybe a parent involvement. How can a trip or a visit from an expert bring in more enrichment to the class? So we are consciously looking into it and gathering more from the parent community so that, they are benefited and they are equally involved in the process when we are reviewing the POI. Yes.
Absolutely. So you're looking at how do we improve our parent partnership when you're
Sure.
reviewing your POI. All right.
Shruti shares if student can make a connection to the unit. Shruti, would like to elaborate on this?
Yeah, if it is when we are reviewing the POI with Miss Vandana, so we always see that if the students can, if they can make any connection or is it relevant to the real life situations, they can connect to that, and then also if it is aligned to the SDGs.
Thank you. We have a couple of more inputs here. What worked well? What sparked inquiry among students? Is it aligned with SDGs? Is it providing real life connections and opportunities? What kind of global and local context might we bring in?
Right. Right. So these are some of the questions, and I think everybody is looking at an ongoing review of what is happening in their classrooms. So broadly, I've just tried to put it all together. Are the elements of PYP in place, which was the first thing you all talked about, the vertical and horizontal articulation? Are the concepts, the learner profile, the skills, are they being developed in a vertical manner? Do we understand what this particular skill means and looks like at a particular age and stage? And how are we as practitioners bringing it into our daily teaching and learning? Have we defined those skills more explicitly so that they make sense to the learners and the teachers as well? So that's looking at it vertically and horizontally. Do we have the necessary resources in terms of time to implement this unit? So when you're beginning a unit, you're always looking at how much time do we have? And accordingly, sometimes there are events, there are things happening. And so looking at the calendar as well, there are adjustments and the decisions we take. We also look at how will the previous unit's knowledge, understanding, and skills be taken forward and enhanced. One very important thing that we've started looking at is the transition. That how can transition between first and the second unit or previous and the current unit be worked in a way that there is a seamless movement. Therefore, some of our units are placed in such a way that the order of the unit helps in a smooth transition. For children, there are no knee-jerk reactions that suddenly there is something that we are looking at more from a historical point of view, and now there is something which is taking us into an exploration or how the world works. Even if the units are like that, considering several reasons that we may have for placing them, we still try and find thread. And since the units are transdisciplinary in nature, we often find a very beautiful thread that connects two units. So as schools, when we look at that, trying to connect a previous unit with the new unit, it's a seamless transition for the children. They're still in the learning process. They're moving from one unit to the other. However, it's not ending and beginning. It's something that they realize already. It's an ongoing process of learning. We're exploring this, and suddenly they're moving to a different unit, which is explored in depth going forward. So understanding the connection between the two units is something that one can explore. How did the students respond to the learning intentions set out through the unit, which is about them finding it relevant and making connections? Assessments as well. How are the assessments effective in gauging the impact of learning? A lot of focus is on the impact of learning. We may feel a lot of excitement when we are planning experiences for children, but how are the children demonstrating the acquisition of knowledge, skills, and action? Is it showing in what they're doing and how they're processing and how they're behaving? What is the impact? Did it inspire children to take action? So there are certain things that we keep, and these questions we keep bringing in. It's not for the end of the unit. It is in an ongoing manner in all our collaborative meetings. There is a set agenda. And that, of course, set meaning it's a flexible agenda, but set for every week. So when we are going through the units, we have that agenda in mind, and some of these questions are picked up for reflection and conversations. Any question if you have at this point? Otherwise, we can move forward.
Would you like to share what you do in your school, which is not resonating with what Vanna
Yeah,
has
if
shared?
something is not covered, yeah.
Hi, thank you, Vandana. Rachel here. I'm not in a very good background state.
No problem.
Hi, Miss Rachel.
Hi, good morning,
Good
Pallavi, and
morning.
very interesting. Nice to hear you. I just wanted to know, do you all also plan your POI review like vertically? Do you also plan it in resonance with the MYP as well?
That's a very good question, and it's more about aligning it vertically. So grade 5 team sits with grade 6 team, and that we try and do, once in December, and then of course more, I would say systematically towards the last leg of the year, looking at transitions and what is the level of elements, I would say knowledge, understanding, and skills, and certain areas in terms of sciences and social studies and other pure disciplines. What is it that we are sending the children with? And what is it that they are expecting? So a lot of, I would say, vertical alignment between grade 5 and grade 6 is done.
How many units do you have for science per grade?
There is science focus, I would say. They're not entirely in purely sciences, but looking at the balance and how much one can have, if you have 6 units. So we try and have it in at least 2 to 3 units, where the focus is very clear and explicit. However, it's since, when you look at the context, there are, in India, definitely there is a high demand for, there needs to be more scientific temperament being developed in through the units. However, a lot of it cannot happen through the units because sometimes there is a social science focus, sometimes there is a language focus, and we ensure that there is a language-based unit as well in the POI. But we've looked at certain other ways of bringing in scientific temperament. Maybe if we have time towards the end, maybe Shruti can talk about, how they've looked at science squad in grades 3 and 4, because that's where the need starts to come in, where children are exploring, and they're ready for it. So there is more of an outside the POI program that we have created, build the scientific temperament. Similarly, for social sciences, we looked at vertically that mapping as a skill was missing. The rigor was missing. I mean, you can have mapping in all units. However, just to teach it in a way that children learn and acquire skills takes time and takes repetition. Now, repetition may not be possible to all units. Therefore, we have taken out some of these things and we have integrated them with, let's say, ICT. So our ICT teachers pick up mapping in a regular manner. So whenever there is a buffer, they pick up mapping for that grade because that's something that they would like to reinforce and work with the children. So POI, while it's a broad, I would say, document, it cannot really contain everything that the context and the parents and the school wants to have. Therefore, having certain things which can be done outside the POI, but within the, of course, the purview of inquiry-based learning, I think that's also fine.
Kirti, you've been writing a lot of messages. Would you like to share what you want to, what you're writing? As one of your collabs, cross-grade collabs, there is space for cross-grade collabs, which then
Hi,
help.
Pallavi.
Hi, please speak, yeah.
Yeah. So nothing for something we consider which came out very organically during one of our POI review meetings was we saw a lot of connection that grades could make, like our ELC3, which is senior KG, has a unit on gardens in under sharing the planet, and our grade 4 has a unit on plants under the planet. So we thought of we are like very intentionally thinking of these connections when we are placing the units. So grade 4 students can actually go and collaborate with ELC3 and do some kind of probably like a gardening patch or something. So we are doing those kind of connections right now, and so hence our placement of units has kind of changed because we want 2 grades or 3 grades to come together and collaborate. So that's another consideration we are doing this time.
Right, the timeline. That's what if you're talking about, right, Kirtida, that there is a time frame that you're looking at across schools so that those units fall at the same time,
Absolutely.
ensuring vertical connection.
Yes, yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Vidya, you can ask your question.
Hello, everyone. So I was just wondering, I'm so sorry, my throat is a little. So
I'll
I'm
read
so
out for
sorry.
you, no
Yeah,
problem.
my
Is there
question.
any order
Yeah.
that IB recommends or insists to have specific discipline, like 3 units of science and 1 language oriented?
Yes, I just had that question because since Miss Pallavi were talking about, so it is the school choices or is anything that it has to be there according to
No, there's nothing
especially
prescriptive.
languages.
There is nothing prescriptive. However, when you look at how we express ourselves, there is scope and opportunity to look at language-based inquiry as well. You could look at art-based, whatever, but there is room. And like I said, a lot of it is depending on the school's context. As a school, we realized that we needed to have one language-based unit of inquiry across so that the language program also strengthens in conjunction with the program of inquiry. When IB is only talking about having a balance, that it shouldn't be, heavy on science or heavy on social sciences. There's got to be a balance between different disciplines. And since it's transdisciplinary, it's not a pure science unit. It has a major focus on science. However, of course, there are connections that you can bring into social sciences and languages as well. So broadly, when you look at it's like, all right, if I have to just put it down in crude terms, it's like 2 science focus units and you have 2 social studies focus units. You have 1 PSPE focus unit and 1 could be a language based unit. So that there is balance, there is coverage in terms of, looking at all the core subjects that we have and having a balanced and I wish there could be a perfect POI. However, it only exists in our minds that it's a perfect POI because every time when you have new set of children, new teachers on board, the shape and the look and feel of the POI changes, and it must change because, like I said, it's a responsive document. It's not something cast in stone. It is not something. There was a time when we used to feel it's a sacred thing. If it's decided in the beginning, we need not touch or do anything with it or meddle with it. It needs to be followed through with a lot of sanctity. However, over a period of time, we've become very much comfortable with editing, modifying, and changing it even on the go. And that is what I'm saying, that when the school is ready for it, when you feel that your teachers are responsive to the needs of the children, and you realize that something maybe in the beginning or maybe towards the end of this year we had to make certain changes. However, when now I'm looking at it in second semester, it's not really clicking. This line of inquiry is not really open enough. The concept is not really connected with it. The learner profile is not going with it. While we had a proper review, still there are these revelations, these sparks that come in. Sometimes with the context, the time is changing. Something else comes up in the world and you want to pick it up. And that would just mean tweaking the line of inquiry a bit so that you can make scope for that, happening around the world. So keeping in mind that it's not something that is cast in stone is important. For our program of inquiry, we keep these conversations and reflections ongoing. I've blurred it for a reason. You shouldn't feel that your screen is going yellow, but yeah, just seeing that the reflections in an ongoing manner are parked on our online document, that as and when we are moving forward with the units, we keep adding our reflections and that this is not working, this we have to keep in mind for next time, or we are changing this one skill at this point because this meets the requirement of the cohort. So that was like in an ongoing manner. Now I'll move to the year-end POI review, which is, again, I'll take you through 3 years of format that we followed and how we also evolved with time. We changed our practices. We tweaked them on the basis of what the school, of course, the teachers needed. And this year, we looked at how the IB had given few hints on what the schools can do. So we'll move to the next bit, and you can keep your questions coming in. If we have time towards the end, we will take them up. So year-end review, for us as a school, we look at the lens first. So what is our lens? What is it that we want to review? It's not a general open thing. It is reviewed with an objective in mind, that there are certain things as a school we would like to grow into. So should we look at our POI through a certain lens? So we define the lens first. Then we come up with a timeline, look at the stakeholders, define a process, implement the process, and then, of course, communicate the changes or the modifications with the community. So it's the entire process of POI review for us goes on for about good 6 weeks. So we start in April and then we conclude it in May. So 6 weeks we take to go through it very diligently and looking at every aspect, taking into consideration the reflections and reviews we had on in an ongoing manner, consolidating all of that, and then understanding, looking at each lens with a lot of focus and reviewing. I'll share some examples also with you. So last year, this was from 2019 and 2020 during COVID. And before that, we had certain transformative changes to our POI. We wanted to be experimental with it. So we had looked at certain changes in terms of, if we could have year-long units in all grades. For grade 5, exhibition became the year-long unit, but for nursery, kindergarten, grade 1, 2, 3, we looked at a year-long unit for all grades so that there was more scope. We also tried clubbing 2 units from different TD themes as one, so that it became a continuous process of learning, spanned over, it gave us more time, and we could move from one unit to the other. The themes were different because you have to cover 6 themes, and that's like a mandate. So we retained the themes. However, we just merged the content of the unit and placed it in a way that it allowed for a seamless transition and gave us more time. For example, the unit in grade 3, under where we are in place and time, and design and structure. So from monuments to design, we placed those units and then we swapped the order. We looked at design first and then we moved to monuments. So those 2 units, while they were distinct, they were connected. The core concepts of design and structure were common to both. However, when we looked at the historical aspect, there were social science-based skills that we had to focus on. And here it was the design thinking aspect that we wanted to bring in. So while there were very clear definitions and the objectives that we had, we still saw a lot of connection between the two. And we realized if we place them together with the same, so we merged the central idea. We had 4 lines of inquiry. So we did 2 with one and 2 with the other. And that's how in our heads and on paper, we created it. Similarly, for grade 2 as well, we looked at something around personal history and communities. So these were experiments for us. And we realized that in that year, with those teachers and with those children, it really worked. We did it for 2 years, and it was helpful in strengthening and deepening the understanding. Then it was, all right, let's look at what are the lens that we want to pick up for this year. So is the unit action oriented? Like you all talked about relevance. Is it relevant to the current scenario? COVID was approaching and we wanted to pick up some of those things in our POI. So how do we make it relevant and significant for the children? The width and the depth. Are the lines of inquiry broad and open enough, or are they conceptual enough? Skills, are they embedded strongly? Are they somewhere mentioned in the lines of inquiry in some way? Is there any evidence of that? Is the unit rigorous enough, or is it just hunky-dory if they're enjoying? But is it rigorous? Is there scope for self-directed learning? That was a time when this word really was gaining a lot of popularity. So we were looking at and exploring as a school self-directed learning. Is there opportunity for this? Transdisciplinarity, Is it really happening? And collaboration, does the unit lend itself to opportunities to collaborate with schools and other, stakeholders in a face-to-face or an online manner? So defining our lens for that year was important. Then we defined the process, the timeline, the way forward. We also looked at that, okay, after we are done with this, during inset, there would be certain requirements for us. So we planned our inset as well accordingly. That we wanted to have PLCs, small group, professional learning communities on certain aspects, let's say self-directed learning or ATL skills. So we pulled out the areas that we wanted to strengthen through the review and created our PLCs for the teachers. We also looked at what if scenarios, that going forward, do we want to experiment a little more? We've always been thinking of what to do with the POI, how else can we make it more exciting for ourselves as well, and bring in more relevance and the context clearly. So should we focus on SDGs vertically? Through sharing the planet, can we have a common unit, one unit across all grades and taking care of some of the SDGs? What if we involve having a line of inquiry being developed with the children? Will it open up scope for self-directed learning? So these were some of our thoughts and wonderings which we had opened up. So POI review for us becomes a time where the community engages with all these thought-provoking questions. It's not just looking at the POI, changing some things and moving on. It's also to do with us as a community. Where do we want to go? Then we create these documents for teachers to fill in their reflections, because all the reflections need to get consolidated somewhere. The data needs to be captured in such a way that one can go through the reflections and suggestions and pick up some ideas from it, so that you can conclude something. Otherwise, it becomes a long drawn process of just discussions. But all those discussions need to conclude to something, right? So we have to have a place to park all those conversations. So then we create those mid-level documents for us to capture all the conversations that we are having. I'm mindful of the time. We have about 7 minutes.
If
So
everybody agrees, then we have another link. We can extend for another 10-15 minutes using that link. Just show a thumbs up if you agree to that. Yeah. Thank you so much. Vandana,
we
then
can
you
do it
can
for the
share.
last bit, because I think that will
Yes.
take more time. So I'll take you
Definitely.
through another. Yeah. So the lens, as I said, I will not spend much time, but lens is the first thing we look at. We define the lens, we define the process. And depending on the how big is your school and how large is your community, you can create your process accordingly. There was a time when the entire school used to sit together for successive sessions and we used to do it together. We realized that those conversations, then we had to make it first small group, then large group, then come back again as small group. So we are trying different ways so that it's more productive and it's more meaningful. So sometimes there is a requirement that the teams do it together first. And then we come together as a large group where each team shares what they have found. And then there is a vertical discussion on certain topics and areas, and people give their inputs. So with the next year's plan, we looked at our own all the lens that we had identified, and through different units, what did it look like? Was it authentically integrated and the impact was visible? Was the impact visible to some extent, or there was no visibility? Unit had no scope for any of these areas that we are looking at. So a very honest reflection is required. It's sometimes we feel that we have to kind of project that everything is going absolutely fine. However, then the whole idea of review gets defeated. So we create that kind of environment, and at that time we all are like, I would use the word naked. Like you come out naked to these conversations and say that it's not working, and have the courage to stand up and say, because sometimes in a group, in a team setting, you want to guard and you protect your team, that we've done it all, so it's all going very well. However, we know deep down inside that children did not connect with it. They struggled with this idea. So being honest is very important at this point, and we encourage that a lot. And you will see that teachers very honestly, they will put their reflections that it did not work work, we'll have to change, we'll have to modify or look at something else. And then each team reflected and thought about the next steps also. So a lot of, I would say, agency and accountability on the teams, that you decide where were you think of where you can go going forward and what are the steps you're going to take. So each team has the ownership to review and then come up with their own. And then when we come together as a whole group, we look at what are the patterns emerging from each year. And that's the role of the leadership. Pick up the pattern, to pick up the growth areas for next year. And that's what we do when we come together as an entire community. Then in that year, we looked at our specialist teams also having a lens. So there was a lens defined for the specialists as well, because it did not really 100% align with the lens that we decided for the form tutors. And we saw that disconnect somewhere in our conversation, that they were losing that conversation in between, and they were like, all right, this is for them. So we made it more tailor-made, I would say, for the specialists also. And then they reviewed their aspects and they collated their information and they looked at the POI from their lens, the lens of their subject, because it made more sense to them. And that also we realized that, specialists also needed to be a part of it in a way that it's, I would say, not isolated, but in an integrated manner. That there is a lens, the POI remains the same. You've had your integrations, you've had your standalone as well. So through the year, did you have enough opportunities to work on your own skills? Because sometimes in the name of integrations and transdisciplinarity, the subject-specific skills get missed out on. So it's an important point for them to review their own curriculum in conjunction with the POI review.
So, Vanna, when we have the
Right.
scope and sequence of all the specialists for us as well, we also have benchmark document, which the school we all make. So, does that help to reflect and see where we are?
So you're talking about a kind of a curriculum map,
Yes, yes.
benchmark document, because I'm trying to connect, right? So beginning of the year, if you've created a curriculum map that with this unit, this is what is happening in different subject areas, if I'm correct, right? Yeah. So those curriculum maps are reviewed. We review them in December, and then we review them in May as well. So in 2 semesters, that document is also reviewed. That what did we do in this first semester? Whatever we had committed ourselves to on paper, have we achieved all those things? So that's like a mid-year review for us, and also looking at going forward, is there any modification in the next semester's map that we want to make on the basis of how we have fared in the first semester? So that mid-year review also be incorporated, realizing that specialists needed to be more tuned into the whole process of review and reflection. So with them, we meet, of course, once a month as an entire, vertical, horizontal, collaborative teams. But then this mid-year review has really helped us, where we sit with their curriculum maps and we go through what has worked, what has not worked. What did you do instead if you did not do what you had planned? And what was the reason for it? And how is it impacting your next semester's plans? I think from here, I would really want to go to the next bit through the new link. Can I
Yes,
do
please.
that? Because
We have
that's a
we
different
have 1
segment.
minute. So anybody who has any
Any
question,
question?
because when you talk about collating reflection, IB has that reflection. The planner has that reflection section. What we do, we keep putting our reflection in that.
Yes.
We take
Yes.
pictures of what the worksheets children have done, the reflections children have written on that document. We take a picture and we put it. Is there any other way you are suggesting we can do?
So of course, planner is the main document for us as well. So every unit, the ongoing reflections and the unit end reflections are captured there. With total, I think it's the student reflections also that are coming in really well. But it's important to pick up the relevant points from there. And I think that's when the challenge comes, when you have a lot of notes there. You
Yeah.
don't know what to do. So just picking up. I think, and then parking them somewhere through these mid-year or mid-semester reviews just helps.
Yeah, thank you.
It will just
Please
end
ask
any
questions.
minute.
Yeah, it will end any minute. Any question you want to ask? Kirti says, Vanna, IB is releasing a POI review support material soon,